Hey all, I wanted to do a follow-up video and try to answer some of the questions that I received after posting my build guide for the Be Right Back Writerdeck. First one I wanted to address was battery life. I'm running this off of a single 18650 and I get around 2.5 hours. The Pi Hat that I'm using has a JST connector for an extra battery, so battery life could be extended. I chose this keyboard layout due to the overall size and availability of the PCB. It was the smallest and easiest to source. A lot of people have asked me about the number row. I am using layers that have been set up within QMK. QMK is a software that allows for custom keyboard mapping. I currently have my layers set up where the Win key activates the layer. So the top row, in this case, are all the numbers. I opted for the slab layout instead of a folding model because that was the easiest to assemble. I have been working on another idea where instead of using a Raspberry Pi and an OLED screen, I use an old Android phone and connect it up to this keyboard. That would be a much better candidate for a folding screen option. However, I'm going to be putting this on hold for a little bit. I am going to be spending more time on the Takeout Box, which is this DIY DJ controller that I've been working on. I eventually do want to have some integration between the two of them, so I will continue to work on it in my spare time. I'm now going to take some time, now that we're zoomed into the screen, to talk about some of the software that I implemented. I'm going to try to do this all in one take, so it might be a little rambly and maybe a few mistakes, so bear with me here. The first thing I wanted to talk about are the virtual terminals. I have 4 virtual terminals set up right now. Here we're on terminal 1. Go ahead and switch to terminal 2. Now we got Claude Chat. Terminal 3 is the journal. And terminal 4 is the simple Writerdeck. I have detailed instructions on how to set this up on the GitHub repo if you're interested. I'll go ahead and show you the Writerdeck. If I press N, I can create a new file. Now this just acts as a regular old word processor. I can type something. Then if I do Control W, that saves it and closes it. All of the navigation in all of these programs runs around keyboard shortcuts. Now, yeah, it's a simple file browser. I can go ahead and open this up and there we go. Next, I'll talk about the journal app. I used, was it day 1 on the iPad and found that they had a website with all their prompts. So I scraped all those prompts, put them in this journal file. And now if you hit P, it pops up with a random prompt. I can then journal, say blah, 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 blah. And once I save that, I can't edit that journal file. I like the idea of just putting your thoughts out there and, getting them out on paper, or I guess in this case, on an OLED screen, and then not being able to modify them. If you want to view them, I can press V, and I can see my previous journal entries. I can also do free writing, so this is very similar to the Writerdeck, but it's just a complete blank slate. Go ahead and do Control Q. Yeah, you can see that there's a little tracker up here. So it shows when I journaled, shows how many entries I've done, how many entries I've done in total. Yeah. The last one that I wanted to talk about, this one I'll go into some detail about, is the Claude Chat client. So I used the Anthropic API here. So I can go ahead and create a new chat. And let's see, I'll go ahead and ask it something. Tell me a fun fact about whales. And this is going to talk with the API and go ahead and spit me out an answer here. I have some basic navigation, up and down arrows allow me to scroll through. I guess this is a pretty short answer. There's a help feature, which will, here it shows all the different commands. These will actually come in handy if you want to generate code with this, specifically code that this Writerdeck can execute. So I guess I'll go ahead and quit. Let's see. Can you write me a bash one-liner that prints "I love whales"? It's going to go ahead and think here. Now I can run the save command, or no, it's actually the cmd command. Yeah, cmd command and 1, which is going to pull this first block. And now if I go back to my first terminal and I type run, it's going to pull that command and it will run it. So this is really useful if you want to debug on the fly. I was using this when I was setting up the bash RC and the bash profile files on here. So let's go back into here. This can also generate Python. I mean, it's Claude, so it can generate a lot of different things. But in this case, please make that script in Python. Go ahead and get it to generate here. Awesome. It's super simple. All I have to do is now hit save and then the file. So we'll do whale.py and then the code block, which is 1 here. It's going to go ahead and save it to my scripts thing. Scripts directory, not thing. Now if I cd into scripts and I run whale.py, great, I love whales, awesome. This is a way to get the Claude client to interact with the other terminals. Yeah, that is a basic overview of the software that I have on here. Like I mentioned before, I just created a README on the GitHub repo, which documents how to add all of these scripts, how to add all the virtual terminals, how to get that command porting working between terminals. I hope that it's helpful. Thanks for watching. I hope this gave an insight into some of my design processes, answered some questions, and gave a good demonstration of the software that I'm running on here. Like I said before, I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on the Takeout Box DJ controller. However, I do want to get this Takeout Box to integrate with the Be Right Back Writerdeck, so expect to see both of these with an emphasis on this one.